At the beginning of the story, we see a scientist named Will, who is searching for a cure for a disease called Alzheimer's because his father also suffered from it. Other than his father, Will had no one else in this world. That's why, no matter what, he wanted to create a medicine for Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a disease in which a patient's memory slowly becomes weaker, and in the end, the person forgets even their own name. Since Will had no one except his father, he couldn't watch his father drift away from him mentally. Will worked day and night and finally created a medicine. But testing this medicine on humans first was risky, so it was first tested on a female chimpanzee. The results shocked everyone. The medicine made the chimpanzee extremely intelligent. When Will saw her intelligence, he became very happy and now wanted to use the medicine on humans. First, he informed his senior, after which a board meeting was arranged where he gave his presentation. Everyone was very pleased with the new medicine because the results were highly positive. Meanwhile, the female chimpanzee, the one Will had tested the medicine on, is shown in another room. A worker comes to shift her to another place, but her behavior that day was different. She didn't want to be moved. When the worker tried to force her, she became very angry. She grabbed the worker's hand and then escaped, causing destruction everywhere. She became uncontrollable and even reached the board meeting room. Will couldn't calm her down because she was extremely aggressive. So the chimpanzee was shot, and she died on the spot. After this incident, the board concluded that Will's medicine had made the chimp aggressive. With her death, they declared Will's entire experiment terminated. The board ordered all chimpanzees in the lab to be euthanized since the same medicine had been used on them. Will tried convincing his boss that there was no problem with his medicine, but the boss refused. He said if the medicine had no issue, the chimp wouldn't have become so aggressive. Will's 5 years of research had gone to waste. When Will returned to the lab, the caretaker approached him and said there was nothing wrong with the medicine. The chimp hadn't become aggressive because of the drug. She had given birth at that very moment. She got angry because they were trying to move her right after childbirth. Now Will understood everything. The worker told him that he had killed all the other chimpanzees on the boss's orders but couldn't kill the newborn baby. Will secretly took the baby chimp home, where his father also lived. It was shown that the baby was small but had a human-like sharp mind. He quickly bonded with Will's father, who named him Caesar. Slowly, 3 years passed, and Caesar had grown very smart. He could read, play games, and do almost everything like a human. The only thing he couldn't do was speak, but he could understand human conversations very well. Meanwhile, Will's father's Alzheimer's condition had worsened. Even his nurse refused to take care of him, saying he now needed hospital care. Seeing his father's condition, Will felt very sad. The next day, he secretly brought home the same medicine he had given to Caesar's mother. He had made this medicine especially for Alzheimer's. Knowing his father couldn't survive long, he took the risk and injected him with the drug. Will's father became the first human to receive this Alzheimer's treatment. Will couldn't sleep all night, scared something might happen to his father. But the next morning, he saw his father playing the piano, completely fine. The medicine had cured him. Meanwhile, Caesar was watching kids riding bicycles outside the window. He wanted to ride too, so he went into a neighbor's house. But the neighbor was a grumpy man who attacked Caesar with a baseball bat. Before he could hurt him badly, Will and his father saved Caesar. Will tried explaining that Caesar was only trying to play and meant no harm, but the neighbor warned that if the chimp came again, he would kill him. Caesar had injured his leg, so Will took him to a doctor named Caroline. She noticed how intelligent Caesar was when he communicated with Will through gestures. Will and Caroline soon became friends, and she began visiting their house. She noticed Caesar always stayed indoors and suggested taking him outside. Will agreed, and the next day, they took him to a beautiful forest called Redwood. Caesar loved it. 2 more years passed. Will and Caroline were now in a relationship, and Caesar had grown up. They visited the forest often. One day at Redwood, a family with a dog passed by. The dog barked at Caesar, but Caesar felt sad not because of the barking, but because the dog wore a collar, just like the one Will made him wear. Caesar asked Will through gestures if he was just a pet. Will said, "No, you're my son." But Caesar was now smart enough to want to know who he really was. So Will took him outside the lab and explained that Caesar's mother had been there, and they had tested a drug on her. That drug made Caesar extremely intelligent. After returning home, they saw Will's father had relapsed. His Alzheimer's symptoms had returned. He was even eating with the wrong side of the spoon. The medicine had stopped working. Will was heartbroken. One day, when Will was at work, his father, confused due to Alzheimer's, tried driving a car. Forgetting how to control it, he crashed into the neighbor's vehicle. The same neighbor came out, grabbed Will's father, and started beating him. Caesar saw this from the window and couldn't control himself. He rushed out and attacked the neighbor, even biting his finger. The neighbor filed a court case against Caesar. The court ruled Caesar could no longer stay at home. Animal control came and took him to a facility where other chimpanzees lived. Caesar thought he was there to visit, so he was happy seeing the activity hall. But he didn't know he would now be imprisoned there forever. When he saw Will leaving, he ran toward him. But he was now locked inside. Caesar signaled through the glass, begging Will to take him home, but Will said he had to stay there. Caesar was heartbroken. Meanwhile, Will's father's condition worsened completely, and Will decided to create a stronger medicine, one that could cure Alzheimer's permanently. He told his boss about using the earlier drug on his father, how it worked but didn't last. His boss allowed him to work on a stronger version. On the other side, Caesar was shown extremely sad, still hoping Will would come and take him home. Caesar draws a picture on the wall with chalk, a sketch of the window from which he used to look outside his home. He was missing his home very deeply. Meanwhile, Will works day and night and finally creates the new medicine. Now they prepare to test this medicine on a chimpanzee. But when the medicine is being injected into the chimp's body, the pressure causes one of the pipes to slip out. A worker there named Franklin accidentally inhales some of the gas through his nose because he wasn't wearing a mask. At that moment the gas doesn't affect him, and they successfully inject the medicine into the chimpanzee. After the injection, the chimp becomes extremely intelligent, which means this new medicine also works. After this, Will and Caroline go to meet Caesar, who has been locked inside a very small cage. Caesar's hand is also injured, which angers Will. He threatens the guards, saying, "If you mistreat him in any way, I'll shut this entire place down." Caesar becomes very happy seeing Will, thinking that Will has finally come to take him home. But Will tells him that until the court gives permission, he cannot take him back home. Will leaves and Caesar becomes extremely sad. He misses his home terribly. Here, he is given dirty food, and the staff treats him very badly. When Will returns home, he finds his father's condition has worsened severely. He wants to give him the new medicine, but his father refuses. He says, "My time has come." Shortly after, Will's father dies. Will is shattered after his father's death. Now he has no one left except Caesar, whom he considers his son. So he takes a large amount of money and goes to the facility where Caesar is imprisoned. He gives the head of the place a lot of money and says, "I want to take Caesar home." Seeing the money, the head agrees. Will goes to Caesar and tells him to come with him, but Caesar closes the cage door. He doesn't want to go with Will anymore. Caesar is heartbroken about being separated from Will, but he no longer wants to live as someone's pet. He wants freedom for himself and all the chimpanzees trapped there. So Will has no choice but to leave. That night, some friends of a boy who works there come to see the chimpanzees. When one of them goes near Caesar, Caesar grabs him and pulls him close, taking the knife from his pocket. Using that knife, Caesar opens the gate of his own cell at night. Then he sneaks out, climbs over the roof, and reaches Will's house. There, he finds the new medicine that will mate for Alzheimer's patients. Caesar takes the medicine and returns to the facility. He opens the canister so the gas spreads everywhere, and all the chimpanzees inhale it. Now all the chimpanzees become intelligent like Caesar. They gain the ability to think and understand. This was Caesar's first mission, make all the chimpanzees intelligent like him so they could escape. And he succeeded. Meanwhile, Franklin, the worker who accidentally inhaled the gas earlier, dies. This means the medicine works only on chimpanzees, but is deadly for humans. Caesar, along with the others, now wants to escape. But one of the workers who used to torture the chimpanzees arrives. When he tries to shock them with his electric stick, Caesar grabs his hand and says, "Take your dirty hands off me." This is the first time Caesar speaks. He says, "No." Then Caesar punches the worker and frees the rest of the chimpanzees. The worker gets up again with his electric stick, but Caesar opens the water pressure valve, causing the man to be electrocuted and die. Caesar then leads all the chimpanzees to a nearby zoo. He frees all the chimpanzees there and adds them to his group. Now they move toward Will's lab, where there are even more chimpanzees. Caesar frees them too. Now they have become a whole army. Meanwhile, Will misses Caesar a lot. He calls the facility, but no one answers. So he quickly goes there with Caroline. They find no chimpanzee in sight. They see an injured worker, and Will asks what happened. The man says, "You're Caesar. He took everyone with him." And he spoke for the first time. Hearing this shocks and worries Will. He understands that Caesar is heading toward Redwood, the place he used to take him as a child. Caesar and his group move through the city. On the way, they reach a bridge where the police block their path. A huge fight breaks out between the police and the chimpanzees. Caesar's intention is not to hurt humans. He only wants to free his chimpanzee brothers and reach the redwood forest. A helicopter attacks from above, and when Caesar is about to be harmed, a gorilla jumps onto the helicopter and crashes it, sacrificing his life. Then Koba arrives, the chimpanzee who had been experimented on in the lab. Koba kills the man who was shooting at them from the helicopter. During the fight, when a gorilla is about to tear apart a police officer, Caesar stops him. Caesar wants to stop the police, not kill them. Finally, they cross the bridge and reach Redwood Park. Will arrives soon after and begins calling out for Caesar. A chimpanzee tries to attack Will, but Caesar stops him. Will tells Caesar, "Come home with me. Leave this anger behind. Otherwise the police will kill all of you." Caesar hugs Will and whispers, "This is my home now." Will understands that Caesar has found his world. He will not return. Will says, "Alright, this is your life. Live it well." Then Will leaves. Now this forest is a new world for Caesar and his companions, and Caesar is their leader. Meanwhile, Will's neighbor, whose finger Caesar had bitten, suddenly starts bleeding from his nose. Earlier, Franklin, the colleague who inhaled the gas, had come to tell Will everything. But since Will wasn't home, Franklin went to the neighbor's house. He suddenly coughed, and the blood droplets landed on the neighbor, infecting him with the virus. The neighbor is a pilot who flies international flights. This means the virus will spread all over the world and change everything. And that is exactly what happens. The second part of this movie was released in 2014. It shows that 10 years have passed since the virus spread. Most of the human population has died. While humans were declining, the chimpanzee population kept growing. They spread throughout the forest and became even stronger. We see Caesar again, still the leader of all the chimpanzees, ruling the forest. Humans are no longer allowed there. Caesar now has a son named Blue Eyes. One day, Caesar's son is roaming the forest with his friend when suddenly a human appears. He and his team were inspecting a hydroelectric dam nearby so they could restore electricity to their city, and this dam lies within the chimpanzee territory. The man becomes terrified when he sees Caesar's son and his friend, and he pulls out his gun. Caesar's son growls. In fear, the man fires his gun, injuring Blue Eyes' friend. Hearing the gunshot, all the chimpanzees gather there. The shooter's teammates also arrive. The chimpanzees want to kill them and are extremely angry. Then the leader of the human group steps forward, Malcolm, and he speaks to Caesar. "We didn't come here to harm anyone. We're only looking for the dam that can restore electricity to our city." Caesar replies, "All right, this time you came, but don't ever come here again. All of you leave now." So they all leave. Among the chimpanzees, Koba, who had been experimented on by humans and hates them deeply, tells everyone, "Humans have entered our territory again. They will harm us once more. We must show them our strength." Caesar also starts agreeing with him, and they decide to go to the human settlement. Now Caesar sits on his horse, leading the entire group. All the chimpanzees follow him into the human territory. It is shown that the city, once glowing with bright lights, has now become completely deserted. Technology and many other things have faded away. Caesar reaches the human area with his entire army. There, Malcolm appears again and tells Caesar, "We've already apologized to you." Caesar says, "From today onward, if anyone enters our territory, we will kill them. We don't want war, but if humans try to come again, we won't spare anyone." Koba is also present there. Koba wants war with humans. But Caesar gives the humans a warning and leaves with his entire army. Meanwhile, Malcolm is shown to be very worried, because the place where humans are living has no electricity, and their power plant is located exactly where the chimpanzees live. Going there would mean walking to their own death. But they couldn't survive the rest of their lives without electricity. So they must go there no matter what. Malcolm tells his superior, "We should talk to Caesar once again. Maybe he'll understand our situation." Malcolm, his family, and a small group go near the forest. Malcolm explains everything to Caesar. Caesar understands because he has lived with humans. He knows the importance of electricity and how necessary it is for humans. Caesar says, "All right, you may enter, but on one condition, you must hand over all your weapons." Malcolm agrees, and he and his team reach the power plant and begin repairing it. Malcolm's wife and son quickly become friendly with the chimpanzee children. While they're working at the power plant, one chimp finds a hidden gun. He takes the gun straight to Caesar. When Caesar realizes that humans secretly brought a weapon, his anger rises again. He tells Malcolm, "Leave the forest and go." But then Caesar learns that his wife, who had been sick for a long time, was treated by Malcolm's wife. The medicine she gave helped Caesar's wife recover completely. Seeing this, Caesar gives humans one more chance. He says, "You have one more day. Fix the entire power plant and then leave." One of Malcolm's companions, a former police officer, does not trust the chimpanzees at all. He hates them and secretly brought multiple guns. As they are passing the guns to one another, Koba sees them from above. Koba becomes furious. "Humans can never be trusted," he says. Koba, who already hates humans, quickly runs to Caesar and tells him, "Humans have more weapons. They cannot be trusted. You must drive them out of our territory." But Caesar tells him to be patient. This angers Koba. He says, "You don't care about your own people. You love humans because you're one of them." Caesar becomes angry and attacks Koba, badly injuring him. Now burning with revenge, Koba goes straight to the place where the humans keep their weapons. He steals the guns, kills several humans and returns to the chimpanzee settlement. There, he sets fire to many chimpanzee homes. Then, seeing Caesar alone, he secretly shoots him. Caesar falls into the bushes. Koba returns to the others and says, "Humans burned our homes and killed our leader Caesar. They are attacking us. We must teach them a lesson." Koba declares war on the humans. He also declares himself their new leader. Everyone accepts him and prepares for war. On the other side, humans are shown celebrating because electricity has returned to their homes after the power plant was repaired. Koba arrives with his entire army at the place where humans keep their weapons. First, the chimpanzees steal all the weapons, and then attack humans using those same guns. Many humans are killed. The young chimp, the one who was shot in the forest earlier, is also there. Koba gives him a gun and says, "You must kill humans." But the young chimp refuses, because Caesar had taught him never to hurt humans without reason. When the child refuses Koba's order, Koba kills him. He also imprisons the chimpanzees who don't obey him. In the forest, Malcolm and his wife are returning to the city when they find Caesar badly injured. They place him in their vehicle and take him to their home. They treat him carefully, and Caesar begins to recover. When Caesar regains consciousness, he tells them, "I was attacked by my own kind, by Koba." Malcolm finally understands everything. Caesar still hasn't fully recovered, so Malcolm goes to a store to get medicine. Suddenly, Caesar's son appears with a gun, ready to shoot Malcolm. But Malcolm tells him, "Your father Caesar is alive. He's with us, and he was shot by Koba, not humans." Malcolm brings Caesar's son home. He becomes emotional seeing his father alive. Caesar's son tells him how Koba made himself the leader, killed innocent humans, and imprisoned their own people. He also tells Caesar that it was Koba, not humans, who shot him. Now Caesar's son returns to the place where Koba has imprisoned humans and the chimpanzees. He frees everyone. Malcolm also helps and brings them into a tower. There, Malcolm meets the same police officer, who tells him, "After the electricity came back, I contacted the army through radio. A massive military force is on their way. They'll wipe out all the apes." He also says, "I've wired bombs at the top of the tower. When the apes climb up, I'll detonate it and kill them all, even if it means my own death." He holds the remote control. Seeing this, Malcolm and the humans begin to run. Meanwhile, Caesar reaches the area. He confronts Koba, and a fierce fight begins. Seeing Caesar alive, the other chimpanzees realize Koba's betrayal. The police officer detonates part of the city with bombs, killing many apes. But Koba, Caesar, and several others survive. When Koba notices the chimpanzees supporting Caesar again, he begins firing at them. Caesar leaps from a great height onto Koba and pushes him off the building. Koba hangs onto an iron beam and pleads, "Please, save me." Caesar grabs his hand, but Koba's crimes are unforgivable. Caesar lets go, and Koba falls to his death. Malcolm and Caesar then face each other. They shake hands, showing their friendship, just like Caesar once had with Will. Malcolm tells Caesar, "The army is coming soon. You all need to leave if this war is to be stopped." Caesar replies, "No, the war between humans and apes can never end now." And with that, the story ends.